Hey guys, welcome back to the Fit for Purpose podcast.
My name is Brandon. This is Jacob. We're your hosts. On today's episode, we're going to dive into mental fortitude and some of the challenges we can face along in our fitness journey.
Yeah, we also talk about how to reframe our mentality and our approach to health and fitness so that we can continue to make progress over the long term.
Continue to follow along with us. You can check us out on Instagram and YouTube at the Fit for Purpose Pod.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of the mental process as well when it comes to health and fitness is giving yourself those little wins and celebrating them so that you continue to, move forward.
I'm going to hit that goal and then I'm going to be like, great, let's put on some muscle. Let's get stronger. What's next? That's such a good point to say, think about yourself as in someone else's shoes. How would you treat them? How would you care for them? How would you make decisions? Had a client today bring up just the concept of the mental battle that is physical fitness, physical health, and the endurance. It's like the perfect way to describe it because it truly is like no matter where you're coming from in your journey, if you're starting at square one, if you're coming out of injury, if you've been training for a long time and maybe you're like hitting that wall and not seeing like such quick progress, like physical health is such a game of like mental endurance where it is all about how you approach each and every day. And progress in that sense is not always going to be linear. Like you're not going to have this perfect curve where you're always ascending to exactly where you want to go. Like it will drop at points. It will rise at points. It will stay stagnant at points. So we were just having this really great conversation about, for him, he's in this process of this weight loss journey and hats off to him. He started with me in September and he's been just working super hard and he's down like 20 pounds since. This is, 4 or 5 months at this point, which is awesome. It's like great trajectory, but he in his own mind, he's having moments where, he looks in the mirror, even though he's lost 20 pounds, he doesn't feel like he's experiencing that change. Or, he may take a week off and he comes for a session and his body isn't moving quite like it was. Or just these little moments of feeling like he's getting derailed. And it takes that true effort to or even just people in his corner to say, hey, let's get back on track because this is for the long haul. This isn't for the short term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to your point right there, I think it's kind of a dichotomy because it's really important to have tangible goals, but it's also really important to zoom out and understand that tangible goal that you're moving towards is not the destination, but just a checkpoint.
Totally.
On the path.
Yep. You're hitting that toll booth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like a little it's like a little celebration. You hit the checkpoint. This is awesome. We're building momentum and we keep going.
Yep.
We keep walking down the path.
Yep.
I think that we can get into these mental traps when we get so focused in on the
grander picture.
Yeah, what I was going to say is if we get so mentally focused on the one specific thing, right? Say it's losing that next 10 pounds. If you get so invested in that and it doesn't happen as quickly as you want, or you do get there and you're like, wait, I'm supposed to get here and now I'm supposed to feel done, accomplished. That can be a mental trap because it's not going to necessarily fulfill you, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you have to zoom out and realize this is the direction I'm going. This is the checkpoint I'm moving towards, but it's not the end goal.
Yeah.
Right. There is no end goal. The end goal for all of us is death.
Because truly you're really never satisfied. I mean, you and I could probably share many moments where we've felt that of even right now I'm trying to cut because I want this specific physique and I want to hit these attainable goals. Like you're never satisfied. Yeah. I'm going to hit that goal and then I'm going to be like, great, let's put on some muscle. Let's get stronger. What's next? Like it truly is the ever evolving journey that is your physical health, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as, the mental challenges of it is, it has to, and this is like, it's easier to say than to put into practice, but whatever your goal is, whatever your reason is, whatever your why is for getting fit, getting healthy in the first place, you have to integrate that into your whole being, your whole life, right?
Yep.
It has to be something meaningful. And if you can attach yourself to something meaningful, you can attach your why to something meaningful as to why you're doing this, why you're putting the effort in to get healthy, why you're putting the effort in to work on your physical fitness, then it becomes a labor of love where you're intrinsically motivated to continue doing it.
Yeah.
When it becomes too shallow or too aesthetic based or too ego driven or too, me, look at me, how can I make myself better, more valuable? How can I prove my worth?
Yeah.
Sometimes in the short term that can be like really intense jet fuel and that can launch you off. But
Sure.
long term it's not going to, it's not a long-term strategy for success.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other aspect to this, we were focused on this specific individual, really like high achiever type.
Yeah.
I think, and a lot of men are, a lot of women are too, but we look at like men who are like kind of career driven, who set out to like accomplish this thing, who maybe, they go and they want to hit a specific salary goal or whatever that looks like. And in doing that, it's like they put their health on pause and they kind of need this like extra motivation to help take the thinking out of the fitness aspect of it so that they can then go and accomplish that thing. Like the motivation is not quite there because they have so many things that they're like burning the candle at so many ends on that they don't have the capacity for the physical health. So it's like, how can they get themselves to a place where, they have that extra push and someone can do the thinking. That's where like, a trainer would come in handy, what we do, but it's an aspect of their life where they don't want to have to think about it. They just want to like put it on autopilot. And that actually in turn can help in those moments of low motivation, moments of weakness, all those kind of things. It was a unique conversation because I never really quite thought about that, but it's so true. Like people who are highly driven, like they're so focused on all of these different avenues that they don't quite have the capacity to care for themselves physically. So yeah, it was a unique conversation we were having related to like some of this motivation and goal setting and motivation is pretty short term for the most part. Yep.
So and there are so many things about my health and fitness that I have on autopilot that are automated in a sense.
Yep.
Because when something's new and you're constantly having to make decisions and you're juggling, different avenues, different options, then it's energy intensive.
Yep.
You can get yourself to the place where you have integrated habits. It's like, okay, I know when I get up in the morning, I'm going to drink water. I know for breakfast, I'm having eggs and some fruit. Like it's not really negotiable. Like that's 99% of the time. That's what I'm having for breakfast. So I'm not making choices in those moments. It's just what's happening because those are the things that I've built upon as habits. So that takes a little bit of investment on the front end. But like you were saying, for someone who has so many other things going on, they have kids, they're working 50, 60 hours a week. They're managing a business and they don't have time to learn about physical fitness, about physical health,
Totally.
to write themselves a program to go to a commercial gym and execute on.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, yeah, paying someone to kind of guide the way.
Yeah.
And you can't fully automate fitness ever because you're just not going to get the same results.
Yeah, some aspect of it has to be you're getting dialed with the movement, you're performing it well, you're pushing, you're getting a good stimulus.
Yeah,
Like,
and you're
that,
paying attention.
Yeah, that certainly takes you having to be on and
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention. You have to be present. You have to show up.
Yep.
But yeah, there are certain things that you can automate. And once you do that, then it does make things easier.
Absolutely.
And you can build momentum and not have to complicate it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I think everything, like as you're saying, it comes down to what your priority is. When your priority becomes your physical health, you learn to create these habits over time. They don't happen all overnight, one by one. You kind of stack those habits, but they learn to become like kind of autopilot decisions. Like, I'm going to hit my protein intake because that's what I do. That's what Brandon does each and every day. You know what I mean? Like that's
what Brandon do.
And not saying, but it's like understanding that like I do this because this is who I am.
Yeah.
Not I do this because, oh shit, I have to do it. And someone told me it was important. Like it's where it becomes a part of your identity.
Yeah. It's integrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And, yeah, that's a good point. And as far as, the mental challenges with fitness and health and like you were saying, progress not being linear,
Mm-hmm.
There's always things that are going to happen that are going to come up in life that in the moment may feel like an obstacle or something that's in the way or something that's holding you back from achieving the goal or moving toward what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, the maneuvering around or the figuring out of the obstacle itself is the path.
Yeah.
And through that process, you become the person who can get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Right? I
like that.
Yeah, and that's stoicism. The obstacle is the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's just a flip of perspective of saying this obstacle is in my way. Oh wait, no. By figuring out how to overcome this obstacle, I become the person who can actually continue forward towards this goal. So the obstacle itself is actually the path forward.
Mm.
We like to think if this wasn't here, then I could just easily get there.
Yeah.
And speaking from personal experience, I've talked about this a little bit, but in my early 20s, I got hit with some serious health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was already a personal trainer. I had already been working out for years. I was powerlifting. I was pretty strong. I was about 185 pounds. I was already squatting, 315 for reps. And I was in my early 20s and I was making good progress. And then what felt like kind of out of nowhere, I got hit with these health problems and I lost almost 20 pounds and I got weaker and my physical health, my physical fitness took a hit and I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't sleeping good. I didn't have energy. I didn't have mental clarity. And my physical fitness was taking a step back.
Yeah.
Was going backwards.
Yeah, and that's got to be tough. I mean, for you, I share many similar stories.
Mm-hmm.
Your fitness is your identity at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, shit, I don't have that. Now what do who am I?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I'm already a personal trainer. I'm supposed to be helping other people with their health and their fitness.
For sure.
And meanwhile, I'm trying to push harder in the gym because I'm not getting stronger, but I'm actually just spinning my wheels and going backwards because my body...
It's not.
My body needs me to rest and chill out and figure out what's going on, which was super uncomfortable. And yeah, like you said, it was challenging my identity and I felt really insecure about it. But ultimately I was challenged to figure out what was going on with my health. And through that, I was made more aware I was woken up a little bit from the sleep that I was in as to what I was doing in my life, the habits that I had in my life, the food that I was consuming, the sleep patterns that I had that were contributing to my illness.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, okay, now I have to integrate more and figure out what's going on. How do I need to improve my diet? How do I need to improve my sleep? How do I need to improve my lifestyle? How do I need to get better at fitness? How do I get better at programming so that I'm actually working out more effectively?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just killing myself in the gym with hopes that I get stronger,
Absolutely.
but I'm taking a more science-based approach to it. So
Yep.
yeah, through these obstacles, we can become more aware if we're willing to engage with them.
Yeah. And that's a perfect way of saying it. We do have to engage with it. You do have to like seek out how to become the owner of that specific obstacle. Like, yeah, my whole 2024 year was that. It was like I ended the previous year like 1,000-pound club, like strongest I'd ever felt, like most fit I'd ever felt. And just come that January of that next year, it was like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening? Like my hip started going. I started like having these like chronic pain symptoms. I was going to PT, assuming I could like rehab it, and it wasn't getting better. It was like weeks and weeks and weeks, and it gets delayed. Then I have to have surgery. Then there's the recovery timeline of surgery. And yeah, similarly, it's like shit. Like there were so many moments where I could have easily like threw in the towel. So many moments where I'm like questioning, like you said, like I was training people. These people are like looking up to you. When I'm like coaching in the gym, they're like, Brandon's the guy that's the strongest dude here. And now I'm not, because I have to like take a step back. You know, it's like all that internal warfare. And it honestly like fueled me to want to figure it out. Like this is an opportunity to like, I've got these things wrong with my body. These are probably the things that are attributed to it. Here's an opportunity to learn from people who are smarter than me, who are a part of my rehab plan. And here's how I can like almost like beef up the like chinks to my armor to like, once I get past this, now I'm going to be a better version of myself.
Yeah. Leveling up.
Yeah. It's like you said, that obstacle now becomes the challenge and the growth and the all that. So yeah, like there's just so much opportunity to become a better version of yourself when you're faced with that adversity.
Yep.
And while the moments will come, indefinitely, like they're gonna happen, and again, that progress is not that linear curve. Like even though those moments may suck, on the other side of it there's hope. On the other side of it there's an opportunity to be better because of what you faced. And if you can start thinking about your health and your fitness journey in that sense, like, dude, you're unstoppable. Like,
yeah,
it's a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to frame it, is if you, and again, health and fitness isn't everyone's life.
Totally.
Which is totally fine, obviously, right? So many people have other pursuits and things that they're interested in. You know, I believe that it shouldn't be so complicated, you know, and for us, this is our life. This is what we're passionate about. So, you know, for us to engage with those issues and move past them and move forward is really important. But for a lot of people who are they just want to get fit, they just want to get healthy, framing it in that sense of like, okay, if I have goals that I'm moving towards and I'm not making progress or I'm plateauing, okay, how do I engage with what's happening and readjust? It's really that simple. As reality is giving you feedback. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I don't want to be harsh, and you don't need to be harsh with yourself necessarily, but if you say you're waking up in the morning 3 days a week and you're walking for 30 minutes and you implemented that with the goal of losing weight, that's fantastic. That's beautiful. You do it for a month. You notice I lost half a pound. You had the goal of losing 4 pounds, let's say, right? You could say, well, this is stupid. This isn't working. Walking must not be working. Or you could say, okay, reality is giving me feedback, and obviously what I'm doing isn't enough to reach my goal.
Yeah.
So we'll try something else.
Adjust.
Right? Exactly. It's just
Yep.
adjust. So you, in reality is just a constant feedback loop,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean to be insensitive to people that are having,
Sure.
challenges with their fitness or with their health. And again, but this is a mental game.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about. It's a mental game. And if you can have that strong mental of engaging with reality and saying, okay, let's just take note of where we are. What is the feedback that reality is giving me? What effort was I putting forward? And what results did I get from that? Okay. If I really want to move towards my goal, then I'm going to have to change X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
And
yeah, because I think so many people stop before that point. And we live in this world where it's the instant gratification. Like, I need to see results, and I need to see results now. And I think that attitude or that posture, it in turn leads us to not take that next step. When that next step is going to be the thing that, maybe if you go from 3 days a week, 30 minutes a day, to 4 days a week, 40 minutes a day, and then you do lose those 4 pounds, like, who knows? But it just takes that extra step of assessing what worked or what didn't work, and then figuring out, how do I adjust my approach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that mental game is like not letting yourself be discouraged or frustrated or giving up on your goal just because you didn't achieve it 100%, but it's just taking out, okay, like I implemented X, I got Y in return. Okay, what do I need to implement to get, Y squared or whatever your goal is in return? And again, we're trying to frame this so that mentally you can avoid these kind of pitfalls of like feeling like, maybe I fell off track yesterday for one meal. Okay, might as well just blow up the whole week, right? You have to stay in this mentality of every day you're committing to whatever you decide to commit to. That's a change in your life, right? There has to be some sort of change in order for you to move forward towards your goal. So whatever you decide that change is, if you mess up on it one day, the next day is another day to begin again. And if you can stay in that mentality and then constantly stay in communication with reality and notice the feedback that you're getting, then you can stay on track. But it's just these mental traps that we fall into of like, I messed up yesterday, so I'm a piece of shit and I can't do this, and the whole week is blown. And it's really just like our own little mental traps that we fall into.
Yeah.
And if you could like zoom out and just pretend that you're coaching someone that you care about. Pretend that you're coaching your kid. Pretend that you're speaking to a friend.
Because odds are you're going to care so much more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you think about the parent who's maybe struggling in their health, but they get news from a doctor that their kid is struggling in their health. Well, now they're going to take all of their attention and effort and focus it on their kid so that they can give them their very best, but they won't do them for themselves. So it's such a good point to say, like, think about yourself as in someone else's shoes. How would you treat them? How would you care for them? How would you make decisions? Like,
and if you're, if your child was like, hey, I'm going to start running 3 days a week because I care about my fitness, and they like skipped one day and they felt bad about it, you wouldn't
fucking
berate
idiot.
them. You little piece of shit. You didn't run today. You suck.
No way.
You suck.
You'd be like, that's okay.
You're like,
it's tomorrow.
Yeah, run tomorrow.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yep.
Like, it's fine. So it's it can feel so abstract, but if you can really do that, talk to yourself like you're talking to someone you care about, coach yourself, and just continue to read. Like we were talking about earlier, instead of waiting for January 1st, 2026, tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Restart tomorrow.
There's always that quote I see floating around about like, it's like something about related to you could push this goal off for 6 months, or you could start now and look back on how far you've come in 6 months or whatever that timeline is. But it truly is like, make a point to begin today, and then each and every day make that conscious effort to take, like we said, a little hack at that tree. And in 6 months, that tree might fall down.
Yeah.
But if you don't start, or you quit at some point along the path because you're not willing to take that extra step, or give that extra effort, or find that person that is more knowledgeable that can assist us, you're going to look back and not be any further down the road than what you hoped for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't take a swing one day, you have the next day. Like, just be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't take that swing today. I wanted to. I should have, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can accept that. I can take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
And I can begin again tomorrow.
Yeah, I kind of see it as this balance too of like, guilt and shame never lead to success. And that's kind of like a big, kind of heavy thought, and you could relate this to like all different aspects of your life, not just like health and fitness. But when we feel like shameful or guilty about like, I failed myself, or I didn't accomplish that thing that I wanted to do, and now because of it, I'm going to beat myself up mentally, you're never going to have success. Like, truly.
Yeah.
So if we can give ourselves an appropriate level of grace and be honest with ourselves in that, that's where like we truly will see that success. And sometimes it takes other people to like lead us in that. Like, that's where, coaches can help keep us accountable. Friends and family can help keep us accountable. People who you trust, who aren't going to like let you just, who are going to empower you and like who care, like people
call you out. Yeah.
People who love you will call you out on your shit.
Yeah.
Like, truly, like if I am doing something that is just stupid and my wife notices, like, she's going to say something, and I would hope she says something. Like, it's going to feel like shit in the moment, but like she's going to hold me accountable. So like, you don't, all that to say, like, you don't have to do it alone. But back to my original thought is, if every time you fail yourself, you immediately like go to that feeling of like shame and beating yourself up, like, you're never going to be able to take that next hill. So, yeah.
You're speaking my language, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that personally I've dealt with.
Yeah. Same.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it comes from. Maybe parenting patterns, or, the school system, whatever it is, but so many people just think that we can like guilt or shame or whip ourselves into action or into moving in the direction that we want through force, right? But all that does is it leads to paralysis.
Yeah.
And then eventually more guilt and shame, because we're continuing to not move towards the goal.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you're afraid that you begin to get afraid to take any action, because then you're gonna hear that voice berating you in your head of like, oh, that was stupid. Why did you do that?
And it almost like builds it up to be something bigger than it's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You build it up in your mind to be something bigger than it really is. Absolutely. Versus just doing it, right? Or just swallowing that pill. And so, yeah, you're totally speaking my language. And that is, that's kind of that like toxic fuel we were talking about earlier, of like, that can, in a sense, that can launch you if you are really in a place where you're, say you're 40 pounds overweight and you've been drinking, 5-6 alcoholic beverages a night, and you're not sleeping well, and you feel like shit. Sometimes looking in the mirror and being like, wow, I feel really shitty about this. Sometimes that can be that jumping off point. Yeah. But
it could be your rock bottom to.
Yeah, but it's not going to, like you said, it's not going to lead long term.
Yes, correct.
To success. because again, that's a fuel that can be toxic.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, it's just for me, yeah, that guilt and the shame and that mental voice in my head that's, constantly judging my actions and reminding me that I'm not where I want to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
That if I don't control that, then it leads to paralysis.
Yes.
And it leads to like me not taking action.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I can like get myself into a more open and kind of playful state where I'm doing things because I'm interested in them or I want to see what I can create, then that is a much more empowering place to act from for me. And I can, it just flows so much more.
Yeah. You can step into who you've been like created to be.
Yeah. It's more of a flow. And it's more of you're creating because you want to see what you can create.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, I have to do this to move towards this goal because if I don't, then I'm a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that guilt and that force, right?
Yeah.
Versus meeting, kind of meeting yourself where you're at and saying, okay, like why, maybe even being curious is like, okay, I know I want to work out. I know I want to lose 10 pounds. Why am I not choosing to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Getting curious and getting quiet with yourself and again, giving yourself that space to figure out, okay, what's really driving me internally versus, again, relying on that guilt and that shame and that whip. I think that can be a really powerful practice for people.
Something that's helped me in my life is seeing how if you come to the other side of that in a kind of clear state of mind to see how good your life will become or the freedoms that you will experience because you change these habits, that can give you clear vision to overcome the other obstacles, if that makes sense. Like maybe reiterating that point. Like if you can see how good your life will become, let's take fitness as an example. If I was 20 pounds leaner and I was more strong and my body didn't hurt when I woke up in the morning, when we can grasp that those things and that way of life, quality of life is so much better than what we're experiencing now, that can help get you like over that hump of,
and that's absolutely another great mental kind of reframe where you can focus on, what you're moving towards and why, instead of focusing on the obstacle or the discomfort that's currently present. Right. And I love how just now when you were talking about those things, you were talking about feeling better, being in less pain, having more energy, experiencing a better quality of life because of those things. None of those things you said were like, I'm going to look shredded. I'm going to get so many chicks. People are going to freaking want to be me. You know what I mean? And again, and this is part of that mental challenge of fitness is when we attach ourselves too much to those shallow goals and those shallow outcomes that we're looking for, then it's fleeting. It's not fulfilling. And it's not really a great long-term strategy to sticking with some of these health habits or these fitness habits that we're trying to implement.
You got to set deep roots.
Yes.
The deep roots will prosper greater fruit. Come on now. Preach it a little bit.
Preach it. I love it.
I had a thought related to that and I lost it. But yeah, that's it, man. We really truly have to like, what I was going to share is I had a client at one point and we kind of like, I feel like I was trying everything we really truly had like a long journey ahead of us. I'll say it that way, like of weight loss and getting out of pain and all this stuff, and kind of tried like everything under the sun. Like if it's, hey, here's this 7-day meal plan, I want you to follow this exactly. Hey, here's your macros. Let's dig into like counting those. Hey, I just want you to focus on like protein and water intake. Hey, I just want you to focus on getting better sleep. Like everything under the sun, I was trying to like break it down, like really just like kind of banging my head against the wall, trying to like figure it out for this individual. And finally it was just like, hey, I want you to like get a sticky note out And I want you to pick 3 things about your life that if you lost 20 pounds today would be better. And that, when it became like personalized, it was like, oh, now we're seeing success. It was like, you know, she was getting really into like paddle boarding. It was a hobby of hers, but getting in and out of the water and trying to carry your board and all these things and get up on the board, like that was challenging. And one of the goals, I remember it was like, I want to be able to do that and do it with ease. It's like, fuck yeah. Like put that on the piece of paper
awesome.
and stick that on your mirror, because every single day you're going to look at that and you're going to see that aspect of your life that you enjoy that's going to be that much better. So
yeah, and it's just connecting that dot.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that's you know, I think as we hopefully as we get older and we mature, we are able to do that more effectively for all things.
Yep.
Right? Just hold off on gratification a little bit, and we can. Jordan Peterson talks about this, creating these little versions of ourselves through like our mental process, through thinking. You can create a little version of yourself and say, okay, if Brandon did this, then I can extrapolate out that this would happen in the future. And you can decide if that's like a good or bad outcome, right? And then you can like kill off that version of Brandon, and you can figure out what else to do. Like, so you can, right? And if we can take the time, and I think a lot of people have an issue is that they don't actually take the time to sit down and just be with themselves and write out a couple things or connect to a couple things as to like, okay, why, what am I looking to get out of this? We're too busy with all the information that's coming into our mind. Where any free time we have, all of a sudden we're pulling our phone out and looking at Instagram.
Yeah.
We're never actually settling into our bodies and
there's
just,
no presence.
Yeah, just being present, just writing a couple things down and reflecting and thinking and going through those mental processes of like, okay, what gratification am I delaying so that in the future I have the outcome that I want, right?
Yeah.
And there's also the other side of that coin where you delay gratification forever and there's no gratification. So
sure. Yeah.
So remember to celebrate your wins.
Celebrate the wins, man.
That's another thing that hits home for me personally is, you're talking about the overachiever type, the insecure overachiever type of,
never satisfied.
Yeah. Never satisfied.
Yeah.
Always guilting and shaming yourself into progressing. And then you get to your goal and it's not enough. So there's just, there's never gratification. So it's important to recognize and celebrate those wins too. You lose 5 pounds. That's a freaking win. That's 5 pounds
huge.
that you wouldn't have lost had you not made these changes.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's, oh, my knee hurts less today because I've been stretching. I lost 5 pounds because I've been walking. I feel a bit more mentally clear because I ate a good dinner last night instead of eating shit. Like, recognize and celebrate those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of the mental process as well when it comes to health and fitness is giving yourself those little wins and celebrating them so that you continue to, move forward.
Yeah, like one last thought I had in all of this is all of this stuff is character defining. Like any time in my life from a bigger picture, not just health and fitness, that I've faced adversity and come to the other side of it, I have become a better person because of that. Like you could go to every injury I've ever had. At one point, not get into too much detail, like I had melanoma, like, any struggle that my wife and I have ever had or conflict that we've ever worked through, you name it, like go down the list. You get to the other side of that and you figure out how to like work and navigate through that. You become a better person, and that is what shapes your character. And then you can hang your hat on like, this is who I've become because of these habits, these decisions, these obstacles, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling.
I love that. And, that's ultimately, that's all we have really is who we become. Right?
Yep.
Can't take anything with you.
Nope.
And we're all headed towards death. So
same destination.
Yeah. It's like ultimately
not to be morbid, but it truly like,
yeah, I mean, 6 packs are cool.
Yep.
Money's cool. Right. But, at the end of the day, ultimately, it's who you become.
Mm.
So cool. Thanks for throwing out that point, man. I love it.
That's it, dude.
All right, brother. Good shit.
That's great.